Greg Bedard is brought to you by Best Ford in Nashua. Looking for great deals on new Fords? Go to the Best Ford in Nashua, on the web at thebestford.com. And I said we're starting with the coaching stuff because as I caught up on all the reading and reporting in the last 24 hours from Sunday's game, I'm picking up a little bit of an undercurrent in some places, including from the Patriots locker room itself, of people and maybe even some players questioning the Patriots coaching or game planning or tactics or being a step behind the Seattle side, again, coming out of that game. So I'll give you some examples coming up, but first I'll just take your reaction to that, Greg. Do you think the Patriots were outcoached in this game against Seattle, and was that part of the story in their defeat?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, they lost a field goal game. And yes, it was a game they had firmly in command with 6 minutes left, and then they kind of crapped the bed from there on out. Gerard Mayo made certainly a mistake at the end of the first half in terms of game management and basically handing Seattle 3 points, which you ended up losing by 3 points. I thought it was a mistake to take the ball in overtime, considering how your offense had, certainly your passing offense had not done anything in the second half of the game, and you were dealing with Vidarian Lowe had gone out, so now you're on your third left tackle. I would have much rather sent my defense out there where, you re-sign guys, there's continuity, all this stuff. I would have much rather sent those guys out there, and, I don't think they're going to give up a touchdown, but if they do, you don't deserve to win anyways. Hopefully they hold them to a field goal. Now you know what you need to do, and then, if not, get a punt and get better field position, that sort of thing. But I think they got slightly outcoached. I'm not going to go over the moon about it because of how close the game was, and that's a good Seattle team. I mean, the quarterback's better. They got 3 wide receivers who are better than anything you have. They have some studs on defense. I mean, it's a talented team, and they had a chance. That was a game the Patriots should have won. They had it in their hands. They lost, which I'm definitely going to hold their feet to the fire about. I'm not just going to say like, oh, well, it was a good try, good effort. But yeah, I mean, I think that, when you start to see this, and this is something that we're going to need to monitor week to week. Now, week 1, you could say the Patriots coaches definitely outcoached the Bengals. No question. It's week 1. You have all offseason to prepare. Van Pelt and those guys, Scott Peters, T.C. McCartney, had a lot of background on the Bengals. The Bengals stink in week 1, whatever. But, give them their flowers for week 1. They won that coaching battle. I think they lost this coaching battle. And that now is when you get into, all right, there's film on everybody. People understand what you're doing. They anticipate. You have to have counters for what they want to do, what they're going to bring. You have to think about these things. And I thought that Seattle had the much better counters in this game. And the Patriots, once Seattle went to more man-to-man after the first quarter, the Patriots really didn't have an answer for that. And you need talent, but you also need some scheme. And offensively, the Patriots didn't have any answers. And I thought that the Seattle offense against the Patriots defense, Seattle had the much better answers for the Patriots.
Okay. Oh, God damn it, I hate doing that. Every day you wipe down, you turn the mic off, and then you start to talk and you've forgotten you've turned the mic off. Huh. Is that like the top 3 most annoying things ever? Huh. No one's as bad as Mazz.
What are you talking about? I haven't done that in a long time.
Oh, I just did it.
Yeah, see?
Son of a bitch.
I'm sorry. Greg, I would like to introduce you to Jack on my left and Ass on my right.
I just took it out on Mazz. I was annoyed with myself.
Needlessly.
Here is an example. Jacoby Brissett, when asked about the passing game after the game and while they couldn't get the ball down the field, said, obviously they had a good tell on us when we were trying to push the ball down the field, and they did a good job, had a good game plan as far as not letting us get behind them. We tried to, but we've got to find ways to get on top of that and continue to try and push the ball down the field and find different ways. I thought they did a good job of playing too deep a lot of the times when we were trying to take our shots. Just that line, they had a good tell on us. So what do you think about that, Greg?
I just completely disregard that. I mean, I just, I don't know what Jacoby's aiming at. There's no evidence of that on film. Like, there wasn't any time I was watching this and I was just like, oh, wow, Seattle really has this all covered up. The Patriots have no options. No, I thought the Patriots, even Alex Van Pelt, and I know he's going to be a topic of discussion every week. And, I do think he had some things dialed up in this game. But, going through it, I went through every single Brissett drop back. And to me, 75% of the time, there was some sort of breakdown. And most of those happened with the lines. The blocking, just fell apart. They couldn't hold up long enough to develop anything down the field. There were other times where, Polk was going to come open and then he stops his route for no reason. There were times where, Brissett could have made, different choices. I thought he was okay in this game. So I don't think it had much to do with Seattle, other than Seattle just, being better than whether it was with their cornerbacks or the pressure they were able to generate up front. I just thought the Patriots just aren't that good right now. They can't execute, and a lot of it falls on the blocking. The pressure rate is just absurd. I know, in some places it's been about 45% in both games. I actually had the pressure rate for almost 55% in this game, and you're not going to do anything on offense in the passing game with anything, close to 50%. Like, forget about it. Unless you have Josh Allen or somebody like that, it's not sustainable for good offense.
Stu, what was your pressure rate again? What did you have for that?
59.
Oh, you were close.
So
you guys were in the same neighborhood.
So we share a football brain. We really do.
You didn't get a sense they were tipping their pitches, or Seattle was on to something? Because that's what Brissett's saying. They had a good tell on us. You don't think that's what happened?
No, I mean, for example, the second play of the game, second drop back of the game, Brissett sacked. Okay, on film, the protection was good enough, and Jalen Polk's coming in on a dig route in the middle of the field, and Brissett doesn't pull. He's staring right at him, doesn't pull the trigger, tries to get outside the pocket, gets sacked. I put that sack on Jacoby Brissett. Like, that had nothing to do with the Seahawks. I mean, there are countless examples of that, during the game where, Jacoby Brissett, he hits Hunter Henry for 12 yards. It was a play action shot play, and Seattle blitzed, but the pressure was an issue, and Brissett avoided the sack. That's when he, went out to the right, dumped it down to Hunter Henry. Like, if that's blocked up, Polk's coming open on a shot play. It's the blocking's not there. It's not there long enough. And so, no, I didn't see many examples where I was just like, oh, checkmate Seahawks. They have the Patriots. They snuffed that out. I didn't see any of that on film. So I think what he's doing, he's covering for the line, and he's covering for his wide receivers who can't get open in man coverage. He's covering for it.
So can I just reiterate what he did in his column online?
Sure.
You literally went through the 27 dropbacks.
Yeah. And some of them, like the Hunter Henry screen pass, like I didn't go through. Like, some of them.
Okay, but the large majority of the dropbacks, and identified where the breakdown was, or if there was any sort of breakdown, and I use that word loosely, and you found that on 3 of every 4 plays, something went wrong on the Patriots side.
Correct.
Okay. I just want that out there.
Got it. Okay, yet the quarterback comes out and says, we had a tell. They were on us. The defense was on us. Mike Giardi, who writes for you at Boston Sports Journal, was going over some of the second guessing. He says there was the block punt, and then that odd 3rd and 1 play call in overtime that still had players scratching their heads over it on Monday. And then a number of coverage breakdowns that saw this vaunted defense surrender 327 passing yards, the most in the league in week 2. I'll get to that in a second. But he has players in the locker room still scratching their heads over the 3rd and 1 call in overtime. What would they be scratching their heads about?
I mean, because, first of all, I just thought they got way too cute on that play. They had a goal line run where, they pulled, I think it was Michael Jordan in front, and they got a lot of push up front, just doing that sort of thing. And now they're going, all right, unbalanced line, and Hunter Henry's at left tackle, and Caden Wallace is at right tackle, and Tyquan Thornton's coming in, orbit motion and like all this stuff, and Ramondre Stevenson's offset. It's like, no, that's not the time in the game to do that.
Jimmy, when would you do orbit motion?
In tight windows.
I would do it more in the middle of the field. I want a little more space on that.
I'm sorry, Greg. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself.
Is that like an arc motion? Is that what that is? Orbit motion?
I mean, I just think that was that was a poor choice by Alex Van Pelle. I mean, just getting way too cute in a circumstance that didn't do it. I mean, I would rather, do some sort of quick play action or rollout. And, that's a whole other thing. I mean, this is a team that practiced all summer, practiced this wide zone and all the boots off of it and all that stuff. And they can't do any of it because they can't get to the outside. I mean, you watch these other teams, the 49ers, that run this sort of, wide zone scheme. These guys are pressing the edges all the time, being horizontal and getting the defense going one way to the other. And the Patriots just can't do it because they can't block it up. I mean, most of their runs, all of their good running game, which was really good in this game, it's all the old Patriot stuff. It's, gap and power and things like that. And so, they're not even able to operate the quote-unquote offense that they anticipated.
Okay, again, I'm not telling you they lost purely on coaching. I'm just sort of interested in these little dribs and drabs that I picked up in the last 24 hours. So there was some second guessing on the offensive coaching. On the defensive coaching, again, this is now from Curran on NBC Sports Boston. Again, defensively for the Patriots, they allowed the most passing yards in the league in week 2, 327 yards. They let Geno Smith complete 75% of his passes.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Okay, so there's something not right there. Curran wrote that Ted Johnson did a good job explaining this at halftime and right through the postgame on NBC Sports Boston. By spreading out and going empty, Geno Smith was able to quickly decipher whether the Patriots were in man or zone. Then by upping the tempo, they did do a fair amount of no huddle, like in the run of play.
Right out of the gate.
Yeah, the Seahawks were able to prevent the Patriots from shuffling personnel, so they had to stay fairly basic with their defensive calls. Smith still had to know what he was looking at and get the ball to the right players, but the talent and complementary skills of Seattle's receivers made it easy for him to do that as long as he stayed accurate, which he did. And then Geno Smith himself sort of called out the Patriots coaches. That long touchdown to Metcalf was on a blitz call from Duggar, and obviously Duggar and Gonzalez
To
there.
zero blitz.
Duggar screwed it up and took advantage of it. But Smith said after the game, quote, "We knew they would get back to it," meaning that blitz call.
Zero blitz.
Smith said that the Patriots were scared out of calling that defense again until the overtime. And he said, quote, "We knew they would get back to it. That's what they wanted to do in those critical situations." Offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb was on it. And Smith just said Grubb was on it. So their offensive coordinator's named Ryan Grubb. Grubb was on it. Made the right call. We're just happy that happened and allowed us to get in field goal range, and Myers kicked it in. So he's sort of basically calling out, we knew the Patriots would get back to that in a critical situation, and our guy, the offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb, was all over it.
Well, and that's what I meant when I said earlier is part of game planning and preparing for these games is, it's not only saying okay, well, we can do this. We're going to be able to do this and this designer blitz and this and that. You also have to think about, all right, well, what if they do X? How are we going to counter that? And look, I applaud Grubb because, I've sort of been asking for this for years where, the Patriots they want to show you something pre-snap. They want to get people up on the line. Then they want to drop out. Well, the counter to that, to do that, is to get up on the line, quicken the pace. And they were doing like a muddle huddle where they, would get up there. It was sort of college-y. So Grubb came from the University of Washington where there were times where, it was like, check with me. Geno Smith is like looking at the coaches after they get to the line and they make some sort of signal. They flip the formation and all this stuff. So, I would say the Seattle coaching staff, which was much more offensive in terms of what they wanted to do in this game. And look, it's not the Patriots are not a closed book. I mean, yeah, that there are certain situations, 3rd and long, and also high on the border of field goal range. They love to bring pressure. They want to keep you from. This goes back to Bill and Steve Belichick.
Absolutely,
they love that, and so Seattle had a plan for that, and I applaud them for it. And the Patriots really didn't have an answer for it.
Patriots, the Seahawks offensive coaches. And maybe the coaches in general, but the offensive coaches for sure, one step ahead of the Patriots. According to some of the Patriots players, in fact, one step ahead of the Patriots.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Mazz here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.